I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to get some not so positive feelings about James Gunn's DCU kickoff Superman Legacy. Obviously, the script is written. They're in pre-production. They've cast Superman. They've cast Lois Lane. And now they've cast a host of other superheroes for the movie. And I don't know what to make of this. It's getting so weird so fast. I never would have thought you would have needed Metamorpho or Mr. Terrific in a Superman like year one type story, which I believe is what Superman Legacy is supposed to be. But it feels weird from the get-go, James Gunn writing and directing a Superman movie. Can James Gunn actually get out of his own way? Yes, in a lot of his movies, he has really strong character moments, and he has good character arcs for the most part. But a lot of times, like his gags just overtake the entire film, or large portions of the film will be like dedicated to a gag, where it basically takes the place of storytelling, for like even upwards of like 10 minutes. I love Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Okay, love is probably a strong word. I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I thought it was pretty darn good. It was really entertaining. But the worst part about it were the James Gunn stupid, meandering gags that he's always doing in the movies. It doesn't feel like James Gunn, as a writer or director, would be the person at the top of my list for a Superman movie. And now he's bogging it down with a host of heroes a lot of people probably have never heard of. And even if they have heard of them, they're not like, oh my goodness, you mean Hawkgirl is going to be in the Superman movie? Like, mind blown. I got to go see that one. It's almost turning into a bloated mess. We also have a tidbit about what the plot of the story is going to be from Scooper Grace Randolph that doesn't sound all that intriguing either. Warner Brothers has begun rounding out the cast for DC franchise resetter Superman Legacy. Studio co-chief Peter Safran has announced in a new piece with Vanity Fair, with Nathan Fillion, Isabella Merced, and Eddie Gathegi coming aboard. Fillion will play Guy Gardner, one iteration of the superhero Green Lantern, with Merced as Hawkgirl and Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. Nathan Fillion shouldn't be playing Guy Gardner. He should be playing Hal Jordan. That's the character that he's voiced in the animated movies and series that they've done for Warner Brothers for a long time. And everybody likes Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan. That's something that would actually make me want to go see the movie even more than hopefully seeing a good interpretation of Superman. But Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner makes no sense. Guy Gardner's a meathead. I don't even know why the guy's a Green Lantern. I've come to like the character, but it never really even made sense why he even got chosen. And if you're going to have Guy Gardner in a damn DC movie, why isn't it John Cena? Am I the only person that sees that John Cena would make the perfect Guy Gardner? He's got the personality. He's got the build. He's got the look of the character. Nathan Fillion isn't a meathead. He's a good actor, and maybe he can pull it off. But he's just so naturally Hal Jordan. He's a leader. He's a cocky leader. He's kind of arrogant. He's got all the qualities for that character. I don't get that part at all. As far as the Hawkgirl casting, I don't get the obsession with Hawkgirl as a character. I mean, she's a cool character, and she has some history, but the character really doesn't work without Hawkman. And if you're going to have one of the Hawk characters, you should have Hawkman because he's the actual good one. He's got the better character design. He's got the better character history, and he's just a more well-rounded, fleshed out a hero within the DC Comics universe, at least. And every time I've seen the character live action, which I guess is like Legends of Tomorrow or whatever, it's like, why is this character in here? I don't get why they're even doing that. I like Shi'ar, but I imagine this is going to be the Kendra Saunders version, who I think was created by Jeff Johns, and I think he's still a producer at DC Studios. Maybe he doesn't work there anymore. I assume that he does because I still see him in the credits or whatever. If there's money to be made from one of these Hawk characters in the DCU, it's definitely on Hawkman, Carter Hall, not Shi'ar or Kendra or whatever. And that character doesn't work without Hawkman. And then the casting for Mr. Terrific, I think, is strange. We've seen this actor, in other superhero movies. Obviously, he played Darwin in X-Men First Class. And he seems like a good enough actor. And I think he's had some good TV roles. I think he was in Twilight, maybe. That's never a good side for an actor or whatever. Not everybody associated with that series ended up having a good career, but I just never thought Mr. Terrific was like gangly. Like that dude is abnormally skitty and like a log. Looks like a praying mantis or something like that. Why is that guy Mr. Terrific? You couldn't come up with somebody that actually looks like the character and kind of embodies the physicality of him? He's a pretty physically intimidating character, even though he is a super genius. He's got his T-spheres and everything like that. But who was wanting to see Mr. Terrific and his T-spheres on the big screen anyway? At least in like the kickoff of this thing. You're supposed to be establishing the DCU as it's going to be moving forward. And to do that, you actually have to firmly establish Superman. But now we're getting a bunch of cameos from characters no one really cares about. There's another announcement. Barry's Anthony Kerrigan has been tapped for the role of superhero Metamorpho, whose alter ego is archaeologist Rex Mason. Kerrigan has done standout work across 4 seasons of HBO's Barry, finding himself at the center of many. A meme with his turn as NoHo Hank, the happy-go-lucky Chechen mafia leader who falls in with co-creator and star Bill Hader's hitman turned actor Barry Berkman. Why are you putting Metamorpho in a fucking movie? Like, Metamorpho is a cool character, and maybe when you're into phase 8 or whatever, it's time to get Metamorpho in there. He's like fifth-rate Hulk. I like the character, but I'm a comic book geek. This is supposed to get people excited for the DCU, that it's going to be something different. Can you imagine if the very first Iron Man movie had a cameo from fucking Groot and Rocket Raccoon and Captain Marvel? You'd be like, I don't know who any of these characters are. Why are they in this movie? Why are you wasting story in space where you should be fleshing out Tony Stark Iron Man so you can like shoehorn in these other characters? It just seems so weird. So half of the team feels like they're trying to get the Terrifics together, obviously led by Mr. Terrific. Metamorpho's in there, Plastic Man. There's another girl. I can't remember which female hero is in there as the 4th member. And then the other half feels like a JSA team. Like, which one are you trying to do here, James Gunn? I don't even get what the purpose is. And James Gunn, he has been questioned about this, and I do give him credit because he does go out on social media and actually interact with people, and he'll shoot down rumors and actually respond to them. Threads user Weaselcatcher posted this: I'm a little worried the film will focus too much on setting up other superhero movies. Will the other superheroes have a big impact on the story, or will they just play a small part in the story? I still trust you'll do something clever with it, because Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad felt so disconnected from everything else in their franchises. This is what Gunn said: I've never used one movie to set up another movie. The characters are there because they help to sell Superman's story better, not so we can set up separate projects in the franchise. Superman and Lois are the clear protagonists. I don't know, man. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and fucking Warlock was in the end of that movie, and he had nothing to do with it. You were clearly setting up another movie with that one. And James Gunn has actually done interviews talking about the DCU and the way he wants to set it up. And he talks about he wants to use characters like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to help get visibility on other more obscure heroes and thrust them into the DCU. So, like, what are you trying to tell me here, man? You've actually done it for 1, and you've actually talked about doing it for 2 in the DCU now that you're in charge. And I think Weaselcatcher makes a pretty damn good point. I think this is what's happening. And I don't know that the movie is going to be better for it. It just feels weird, 1, that James Gunn is making the movie to begin with, and now he's going to shoehorn in a bunch of other more obscure characters. Nathan Fillion is almost exclusively used as a gag guy, in James Gunn movies. We just saw it on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so hopefully the story is strong, and I am holding out hope. I do want to say that. I want this to succeed, and I hope the DCU is good. I think it might already be dead because of just all the negative publicity and the constant starts and restarts and stops and restarts and new directors and then old directors, and they never have a clear vision moving forward for the DCEU, and I think that's going to muddy the waters moving forward with the DCU. But we do have some idea of what the story may be, and it turns out we've kind of already seen this story. According to Gunn's arch nemesis Grace Randolph, Superman Legacy will see the Man of Steel become embroiled in a conflict in the Middle East, where he faces some pushback from a Justice Society-like team of heroes, which is presumably where Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and Metamorpho come in. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor is also trying to manipulate the situation to his advantage in an effort to expand his reach, which is almost identical to the Black Adam movie. You guys just fired The Rock over the Black Adam movie because you didn't think it was a good story. And now you're lifting it for the Superman movie? I don't want to see Superman getting caught up in the conflict in the Middle East. And there's going to be some stupid analogy to Krypton's destruction and whatever has happened in the Middle East. It's going to be really dumb. And that's so we've already got Guy Gardner, Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl. Lex Luthor obviously has got to be in the movie. I guess there's a rumor out there that it's going to be Daniel Craig as Lex Luthor, which is interesting casting. It's not who I would have chose, but I think that could probably work. Like, what does all this stuff do with this? It feels like an overwhelmed mess, and we've only received tidbits of what the movie is actually supposed to be. Why don't you just put it in goddamn Smallville and let him succeed a little bit and fail a little bit and become the Superman that we all know and love, and actually start the DCU on the right foot and not make the same mistake, you know, that Zack Snyder made over and over and over again. Like, I don't get it. It's like, you know what would make the Superman Legacy movie better? Rather than establishing Superman and really building that character up as the foundation of the entire DCU, why don't we use Superman to introduce a bunch of other heroes people are less interested in and give them a bunch of screen time and have them beef with each other in the Middle East until they come to realize that Superman is actually a hero. And that way the audience will realize, because Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl decided that Superman was good, that he's actually good. It's like, okay, man, whatever. You do your thing, man. I was already skeptical coming into this just because of James Gunn's past work with superheroes. Not that he's made bad superhero movies, but he's never done a character like Superman. And the only time he's ever referenced Superman was in Peacemaker. And he absolutely took the piss out of the character because it felt like he didn't really respect him. So I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I'm not altogether holding my breath that we're going to get a good Superman movie. It feels like, in all likelihood, we're going to get an enormous bloated mess that masquerades itself as a Superman movie, but is really just a launching vehicle for the DCU itself, rather than establishing Superman as the key hero in the DCU, which is what Iron Man did so great in launching out the MCU. But they didn't actually know that they were going to have this enormous MCU when they did that. Maybe that was why it was so successful. This feels much more like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the Mummy movie for no goddamn reason than the Nick Fury cameo like at the end of Iron Man. That's just me. They have had some other casting news. If you didn't catch up on this one, I did have an immediate reaction with my good friend Aaron Sparrow on the casting of the new Superman and Lois. We had some words to say. We'll see how this all turns out, but feels like this guy is going to be working against the stream, especially having to share the screen with Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. It's going to be difficult. There's also a link in the video description.